The CEO of Ripple just went on Fox News and said something that every single XRP holder in America needs to hear. Not a tweet, not a blog post, live television, Fox News. Brad Garlinghouse, sitting across from one of the most watched financial anchors in the country, and he dropped 3 statements back to back that change how you need to think about XRP right now. Statement 1. Ripple expects to end 2026 with a $1 billion revenue run rate, not including XRP on their balance sheet. Statement 2. 90% of crypto trading is currently happening offshore, not in the United States, and the Clarity Act is the only thing that changes that. Statement 3. Most of Ripple's current growth is coming from outside the US, not because US banks do not want to use XRP, but because they are legally waiting for the green light that the Clarity Act provides. 1 interview, 3 statements, and together they tell a story about where XRP is heading that is completely different from what the current price suggests. Today I am going to break all 3 down for you in detail. I am also going to explain why Jamie Dimon's public fight against the Clarity Act is actually one of the most bullish signals XRP holders could receive right now. And I am going to show you what Brad said about Mastercard and AI payments that the mainstream crypto channels are glossing over. Let's get into it. Welcome to XRP Verified, daily XRP analysis built honestly for the US investor. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's go. Let me start with the Jamie Dimon situation, because you need to understand what is actually happening here and why it matters for XRP. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, went on Fox News and publicly stated that he does not support the Clarity Act in its current form. His specific objection? That it allows crypto companies to offer yield on stablecoins without what he called adequate banking protections. Now here is what Brad Garlinghouse said in response, and this is the part I want you to really sit with. Brad pointed out that JP Morgan generates approximately $20 billion in annual revenue from its payments business alone, with over $5 billion in profit from that single division. Jamie Dimon is not opposing the Clarity Act because it is bad for consumers or bad for America. He is opposing it because it is bad for JP Morgan's most profitable business line. The entire payments moat that JP Morgan has built over decades, the fees, the correspondent banking relationships, the cross-border settlement revenue, all of it gets disrupted if blockchain payment rails become legally normalized in the United States. Jamie Dimon knows this, and he is spending hundreds of millions of dollars lobbying Washington to slow it down. Brad's response was direct. He said Jamie Dimon's representation that the Clarity Act reduces compliance or makes it easier to do bad things is either intentional misrepresentation or negligent. Those are strong words from a CEO on national television, and he said them because the stakes are that high. Now, here is why this is actually bullish for XRP. When the most powerful banker in America is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to fight a piece of legislation, it tells you exactly how much that legislation threatens the existing system. Jamie Dimon does not spend that kind of money fighting things that do not matter. He fights things that are genuinely disruptive to his business. The Clarity Act is genuinely disruptive to his business, and XRP is one of the primary beneficiaries of that disruption. Galaxy Research currently estimates a 60% probability that the Clarity Act passes before the August recess. The White House crypto advisor, Patrick Wyatt, hosted law enforcement officials and congressional members this week specifically to resolve the remaining concerns. The Genius Act implementation begins July 18th. July is shaping up to be the most consequential month in U.S. crypto regulatory history. Now let's talk about what Brad actually said about Ripple's growth, because this is the part that most people are missing. On Fox News, Brad confirmed that Ripple expects to end 2026 with a $1 billion annual revenue run rate, not including the XRP holdings on Ripple's balance sheet, pure business revenue. He also confirmed that the majority of that growth is currently happening outside the United States. Now think about what that means. Ripple is approaching $1 billion in annual revenue, growing dramatically, and most of it is coming from countries where they already have regulatory clarity. Japan, Singapore, the UAE, the UK, Europe. These markets moved forward while the US was stuck in legal limbo. The US market is the largest financial market in the world. US banks, US corporations, U.S. institutional investors. And right now, because of regulatory uncertainty, they are sitting on the sidelines. Brad said specifically that the Clarity Act gives CFOs, treasurers, and bank executives the certainty they need to lean in. Right now, they are nervous that a future regulator could reverse course. The Clarity Act eliminates that risk permanently. When the Clarity Act passes, Ripple does not just pick up new U.S. clients. It potentially unlocks the largest untapped market in its entire history, a market that has been ready and waiting, legally constrained from acting, and the company entering that market will have a $1 billion revenue run rate, an OCC conditional banking charter, a position inside the DTCC working group, a completed acquisition of Hidden Road, now Ripple Prime, with NYSE clearing codes, and a stablecoin in the top 5 by market cap. This is not a startup trying to break into finance. This is a company that is already inside the financial system, waiting for the regulatory door to open fully. Now let me talk about the Mastercard and AI development, because Brad addressed this directly, and it connects to something much larger. On Fox News, Brad confirmed that Ripple was one of approximately 30 companies Mastercard selected as partners for its new AI agent payment system. And simultaneously, Ripple launched its own AI starter kit for the XRP Ledger, a developer toolkit that allows builders to create applications where AI agents can make autonomous payments using XRP and RLUSD. Brad was honest about the timeline here. He said the excitement around AI agents can sometimes get ahead of reality. He said he personally would not connect an AI agent to his primary bank account today. There need to be protections and guardrails before mass adoption happens. But here is what he also said. Ripple wants to be future-ready and future-proof. They are not waiting for AI adoption to happen and then trying to catch up. They are building the infrastructure now so that when AI agent payments become mainstream, the XRP Ledger is already the proven, tested, institutionally validated rails that developers and companies reach for first. This is the same approach Ripple took with institutional payments a decade ago. They built the infrastructure before the institutional demand fully materialized. The institutions that are now using Ripple's rails, they did not build from scratch. They plugged into infrastructure that was already there. The same pattern is now playing out with AI. Ripple and Mastercard are building the payment infrastructure for the AI economy. And when that economy scales to the trillions of dollars that analysts are projecting, the rails running underneath it include XRP. Now let me talk about Ripple Treasury, because Brad highlighted this as one of the biggest current growth areas and most XRP holders do not fully understand what it is. Ripple Treasury, formerly known as G Treasury, is a platform that Fortune 50 through Fortune 2000 companies use to manage their global cash and liquidity. If you are a large corporation with bank accounts in dozens of countries and currencies, Ripple Treasury gives you a single, unified dashboard to see everything, every account, every currency, every liquidity position, in real time. Ripple Treasury currently processes approximately $13 trillion in annual volume for some of the world's largest corporations. Brad confirmed that CFOs using this platform are increasingly asking how stablecoins can fit into their treasury management. That question, coming from the finance chiefs of major corporations, is the opening that RLUSD was built for. The moment RLUSD gets integrated into the treasury workflows of Fortune 500 companies as a standard tool for settling payments and managing liquidity, the demand picture for XRP and RLUSD changes dramatically. Brad said he believes approximately 30% of that $13 trillion volume will move onto blockchain rails over the next 5 years. 30% of $13 trillion is $3.9 trillion. Moving through Ripple infrastructure. Using XRP and RLUSD. That is not a speculative target. That is Ripple's own CEO stating his expectation on national television. Now let me give you the full, honest picture of where things stand today. XRP is currently trading around $1.13 to $1.15. The chart is showing a potential double bottom formation on the 4-hour time frame. The 13 and 48 EMA crossover that has historically preceded meaningful bounces has not yet triggered. but it is approaching. Bitcoin is holding the $62,000 area as support. The broader market is in a period of consolidation as it digests the SpaceX IPO liquidity dynamics and waits for clarity on the Iran peace deal and the Clarity Act timeline. Short-term, continued volatility is likely. The $1.05 support zone remains critical. Losing that level would bring the psychological $1 level into focus. But here is the macro context that matters most right now. Raoul Pal said this week that sentiment is at historic lows. Unbelievably, miserably, disgustingly washed out. And he believes this is a correction in an ongoing bull market, not the end of a cycle. His view is that global liquidity expansion driven by debt refinancing in 2026 is what moves crypto prices, and that expansion is still ahead of us. The basic math has not changed. $150 trillion in annual cross-border payments, 3-second XRP settlement, near zero fees. Mastercard already partnered with Ripple. DTCC integration confirmed. $1 billion Ripple revenue run rate. Clarity Act weeks away from a vote. The price at $1 does not reflect any of that. And historically, the price always catches up to the fundamentals. The only question is when. Your full summary for today. Brad Garlinghouse confirmed on Fox News that Ripple expects $1 billion in annual revenue by end of 2026, that most current growth is non-US due to regulatory uncertainty, and that the Clarity Act is the specific unlock that brings US banks and corporations onto Ripple rails at scale. Jamie Dimon's aggressive campaign against the Clarity Act confirms that it threatens JP Morgan's most profitable business line, which is exactly what makes it so important for XRP holders. Ripple is one of 30 partners selected by Mastercard for its AI agent payment system. Ripple simultaneously launched its own AI developer toolkit for autonomous XRP payments. Ripple Treasury processes $13 trillion annually. Brad projects 30% moves to blockchain in 5 years. $3.9 trillion through Ripple infrastructure. Galaxy estimates 60% probability Clarity Act passes before August recess. White House continuing active negotiations this week. Short-term volatility remains. Long-term. The CEO of Ripple just told Fox News what this company is worth. The market has not priced it in yet. Stay informed. Stay patient. Do not let short-term noise make long-term decisions for you. Hit the like button if today's video gave you real value. Subscribe and hit the bell for your daily XRP update. I will see you tomorrow. Stay sharp, stay patient, and as always, stay verified.